Hi, I'm John, and welcome back to Dice Paper Miniatures. In this episode, we're looking at a few things here for Warhammer Underworlds, the new Nethermaze, but in a bigger picture, the new roadmap, which I didn't catch that article previously, but they did just announce the pre order after just showing this new expansion box for this coming Saturday. So yeah, let's see what we're getting again in case you missed the announcement because it just happened a few days prior. So next week we get this new Nethermaze expansion. I have a video that goes into some of that announcement details. You can check that up in the corner. But ultimately, this is a new what they call a core set. And it's basically a starter set, but these new core sets are they're kind of having a different production release schedule now moving forward. And as I mentioned, that roadmap, I want to jump over to that here because I think a number of us missed this announcement. So this was back in October of last year. There was a roadmap that was put out pretty much, I think, right after Harrow Deep came out or was announced. So let's take a look at this. So here's that roadmap graphic. So back in Q4 of 2021, we had the Warhammer Underworlds Harrow Deep. And then they showed new warband, rivals deck, new warband, and new core set with two new warbands. But now we know what this is. So we have this let's see if you can see it here in frame. Yeah, the Black Powders Buccaneers expansion. That was that first one, that pirate themed one. And then the new one, which as of recording this episode is not out yet, but it's coming out soon, is that Exile Dead. In fact, I believe that is one of the other items for pre-order here this coming Saturday. But that means the new core set, now we know what that is. It's the Nethermaze. And so, like I said, I missed this. This is quite the departure from the previous seasons. So normally you had a starter set, and then you had approximately 6 expansion packs, a single warband for each Age of Sigmar army, if you will, that would come out. And so that was how it was for Shadespire, basically Night Vault, Beastgrave, and Dire Chasm. But then when Harrow Deep came out, this was the roadmap, and like I said, I completely missed it. But as I was saying, it goes on to talk about how Harrow Deep is the largest core box for Warhammer Underworlds ever, and it contains 2 warbands, the Dakunin Crew and the Zandire's Truth Seekers. But it goes on to say it won't be long until you can expand your experience even further with extra warbands. The studio has plenty planned, including lots we can't go into yet. Okay. I think it's further down here. Yeah. Longtime Warhammer Underworld players will notice that this is a little different from the previous seasons. Going forward, there will be 2 core sets released each year, each including an all new pair of warbands, fresh board designs, universal cards, and more. And that's not all. This is also in addition to 2 further warband releases per season, each with a ready-made Rivals deck, as well as more Universal and Grand Alliance cards to open up even more deck-building opportunities in Championship format. This change gives the design team more opportunities to advance the narrative, introduce different mechanics, and tighten up the core rules to continually improve the game. So yeah, I guess the bigger question I have for this particular video is, do you feel this is the right direction? So in terms of cost, I guess it would be cheaper because in the past you had one core set, but back then that was like, I believe 60, and I think Shadespire was 50. Then it went to 60, I think 65, but I believe we're now up to 90 and 95. In fact, let me check real quick. Right, so assuming things are consistent, Harrow Deep was 95. So this new Nethermaze is probably 95 as well. So if you have 2 a season, that's 190. And then 2 expansion packs, which are going for 42 now, up from those original $30 price points. But so you have 190. See if I can do some math here. So we have 190, and then we have 42 and 42, so that'd be 84 total. So that's 274. I'm going to make a note of that. But let's look at the old model. So the old model, we'll just say 60 since that's what that starter set is. I think the Dire Chasm and the Beast Grave were actually around 65, but whatever. We'll just go with 60. That's, I believe, definitely what Shadespire and Night Vault was. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. But anyways, so you would have one core set for 60. And then you would have approximately, they were 30, they went to 35, and then I think in Dire Chasm they went to 40. We'll kind of split the difference and say 35. So 35 at 6 is 210. So really, the price difference is 274 versus 270 if I went with the $35 price point. If I went with the $40 price point, 40 times 6 is 240. So either had a combine of 270 when they were 35 each and a core set at 60, or 240 and 60 would be 300. So anywhere between 270 and 300 is what an old season used to cost, and the new season is now 274. So you could argue the new seasons are cheaper, but there's a caveat to that. And that caveat is, in the prior seasons, you got a core set and 6 warbands. So a core set would have 2 warbands, and then you'd have 6. So you'd have 8 unique warbands per season. But now, let's see what we have. We have 2 core sets, so that's 4 each, and only 2 expansions, that's 6. So you only get 6 warbands now per season. I'm making some assumptions here, but assuming this roadmap is still true, let's go back to that roadmap. Yeah, that's if this holds out for the next year or two, we're looking at the next couple of seasons only offering 6 warbands per year, I'm guessing, versus the old model, which was 8. And every now and then in the old model, they did this kind of fluke where they added a whole new starter set, which I guess is a reduced version of a core set, for reasons. So in theory, in the old season, you may have gotten a bonus of another 2 warbands. I don't know how I feel about that. So yeah, its price point is about the same. Maybe this new season's a little cheaper, but you're also getting about 2 warbands less. And I guess if that helps with the design of the game and future releases, and it allows a little bit of more maybe play testing per warband, then I could see that's a good argument to have. It's just a little rough if you've been playing Underworld since the beginning. You're kind of conditioned to expect, it's an expectation, it is an expectation, and I get it. We're in a different world right now, unfortunately. But yeah, you kind of hope for 8. And the benefit of that really was when you played things like Warcry or Age of Sigmar, it allowed you to kind of mix up your armies a little bit more. With only having up to 6 warbands now, maybe they'll still throw a bonus starter set in there, but we're just going off the roadmap. If we only have 6 now, then that does not only reduce the diversity of options with Warhammer Underworlds, it reduces the diversity of options in Warcry and Age of Sigmar. It feels a little bad, but if it improves the quality of the overall game and the game mechanics, and it's just the way things are now, everything's going to be a little bit slower to get with productions and shipping issues. Maybe those will get sorted out, and maybe the roadmap will change and go back to the old format. It's hard to say. But I was curious what everyone thought. I had a comment in my last video that felt like this was a real hard shift from a cost standpoint. We had this expectation of just some more low-cost single warband expansions, and like this came out of nowhere. But in reality, it should not have felt like it came out of nowhere. I just don't think, I don't know what was going on around October of last year. But again, this was completely underneath my radar. I didn't hear any of my friends talk about it either. So I don't know what happened. I have a feeling when they announced Harrow Deep, the price of that box really jumped up. I think because like I said, I think initially these were going for 60 to 65 bucks for starter slash core set boxes. And this one was announced at like 90 or 95. And it was like, wow, that's a huge jump. And I think, speaking anecdotally from just my perspective, I was gonna quit. I was kind of done with Underworlds because of the jump in cost. I was still looking at the expansions just for Warcry and and Age of Sigmar purposes, but I was really reluctant to jump into this new expansion, especially since at the time they just launched that new starter set, and it felt like, wow, this really escalated fast back then. And I think I just like I kind of dialed out, so to speak. And I wasn't really paying attention to Underworlds for a while. And normally in the past, whenever they had a pre-order for an Underworlds expansion, I like bought it immediately. But when Harrow Deep came around and I saw that increase in price, um, I think it had been out for a couple months. I don't think I picked up my Harrow Deep until like January or early February of this year. So that's probably, I mean, that's my reason, I think, for why I missed this announcement. And I have a feeling it might be a few others as well. Because yeah, when Nethermaze was announced, let alone up for pre-order this coming Saturday, uh, really caught me off guard. But with that said, I would like to have your thoughts on that. Do you think this is the right direction for this particular game? Is this new change in the seasons? Does it make sense? I mean, if they only have essentially 4 releases a season, will that allow us to eventually have a little bit of a breather to be prepared for these not only the changes in the cost, but just to get a little bit more of a playtime in on these individual war bands? Because I will admit that was kind of an issue in the past. Some of these war bands came out so quickly, mostly because of the way the cards changed the game. It made it difficult sometimes in my community, at least locally, to really understand how to optimize your deck, especially if you were into the real competitive scene. Yeah, so maybe this, I guess basically what I'm trying to say is there's some pros and cons to this, right? But I'm just not sure if there's more pros to this or more cons. Initially, it feels like some cons because I like collecting more models for Warcry and Age of Sigmar, especially. But I don't mind having a little bit of a breather to get a chance to kind of really see the interaction of these different cards and not feel like we're just constantly getting new stuff and I can't keep up. But again, that's kind of my perspective on it. But what's your thoughts on this? Again, this new Nethermaze goes for pre-order this Saturday. Not only that, before I close this out completely, they are releasing the Exiled Dead still for Harrow Deep. So that's also coming out. And they're also coming out with the previous war bands from the past Harrow Deep core set. I keep want to say starter set, but it's called the core set. These are coming out separately. I imagine they're going to be 42 bucks a pop. So you could get these individually at 42. Combined, that's 84. That's basically a $10 savings if you didn't want all the other parts of the box set. Usually a la carte means it's more expensive, but I guess, in this case, not so much. It's kind of a wash. If you want those boards and the extra chits and things like that, then yeah, you'll probably want that box set. But regardless, lots of stuff for Warhammer Underworlds, Nethermaze, Exile Dead, and you can go back and get the original bespoke war bands from the Harrow Deep box set. Okay, that's it for this one. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about this new roadmap? Are you excited for this new Nethermaze expansion? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't yet and you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. It really helps with the growth of the channel and it's greatly appreciated. And with that said, I hope you're doing well. Be safe, take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.